Lesson 7. Input, Process, Output Operations. By the end of this lesson, you should state the 3 basic operations in a computer system. In previous lessons, we defined data and information. Look at an illustration on the blue screen to see the difference between data and information. When you compare the 2 tables on the blue screen, it is easier to understand Table 2 than Table 1. This is because Table 1 contains data which is not defined or processed. Table 2, however, contains organized data that makes sense. Data is unprocessed information, while information is processed data. We can also conclude that information is ordered and presented in a more meaningful way than data. Now, let's look at another illustration. Computer hardware and software work together to carry out the 3 basic functions of a computer system. These are input, processing, and output. This is also called information cycle. Note that CPUs are fast enough to execute many information cycles at the same time. The hardware and programs that control information cycle are grouped as input, processing, and output devices, respectively. In this case, the keyboard and the mouse are input devices, while the processor is a processing device. The hard drive is a storage device, and a monitor is an output device. When you are using a computer, you will observe that when you press a certain key on the keyboard, instantly the character shows up on the screen. You should note that whatever you input in the computer goes through a specific information cycle involving all the 3 basic operations. Let's discuss input in a bit detailed way. You should know that input is simply the data that you as the computer user enters on the computer through an input device. Input devices input data or instructions in a format that is readable to humans. The device analyzes the input before sending it to the operating system for further processing. The CPU and the operating system later takes over to process data and instructions from the input device. When you click on the mouse to open an application, for example, a Need for Speed game application, the mouse sends instructions and data to the application. The application later sends the open instructions to the operating system. The operating system further works with the CPU to carry out instructions and open the application. The outcome of processing is called output. You should note that processing is carried out in machine language, and the outcome or output has to be interpreted into readable human language by the operating system before it is displayed on the screen. As we conclude the lesson, let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of computers. We will start by discussing the merits of computers. Computers rarely make mistakes and they are very accurate. When you input correct data and information, they will produce correct results. The other good thing about computers is that they don't get tired. They can work for longer hours as compared to humans. Computers are also fast and reliable because they are able to perform calculations at very high speed without making mistakes. Computers can also help you to save money for labor as they are able to do difficult jobs that may be dangerous to humans, like testing aircraft and cars after they are made. Lastly, computers can store and retrieve large amounts of data and information that would otherwise take a lot of space and time to retrieve. Despite being good and useful, computers also have disadvantages. They may crash and make us lose valuable information. They also have limits because they can only do what they are programmed to do. Note that today there are efforts going on to make computers think like humans and program themselves. This is called artificial intelligence. We may also lose data or information if the computer is stolen or destroyed. Computers also are taking over jobs that would otherwise be done by humans. For example, email services are slowly replacing postal services. Toxic computer waste also pollutes the environment. Revision exercise. Number 1. State 3 basic operations of a computer system and describe each one of them in details. Number 2. Describe at least 5 advantages and 5 disadvantages of computers. Do not include the ones we have discussed in this lesson. Summary. In this lesson, you learned that there are 3 basic operations in a computer system. These are input, processing, and output. This is also called information cycle. Lastly, you learned that computers also have advantages and disadvantages.